Happy Tuesday, everybody. My name's Aaron. I'm the co-founder, managing director here at BWG Connect, giant networking knowledge sharing group. Kicked this off 8.5 years ago, just to provide an avenue for people to connect brand to brand and then get as many questions answered as possible. I spend the majority of my time talking with brands. I try to hit 20 to 30 a week. If I'm not traveling to a dinner, and from those conversations, we're pulling out the top topics that come up over and over again. When the same ones come up, we have an event like this. We're also asking everybody, hey, who's really helping you out in this space? Who are the leaders? Who would you like to hear from? And when the same people come up over and over again, that's who we invite on to kind of share what they're doing. So Jana is back again from Blue Wheel. A lot of stuff going on, previous stuff, whether on the podcast or on a webinar, a lot around TikTok. And so one of those conversations that popped up is kind of this blending of everything in the creator space as a whole. People are struggling with content, how everything interconnects, what's driving traffic where, what's converting, what's not. And so we just had enough that we thought we would reach out to the experts here. But Jana, I'll kick it over to you. If you want to do a brief intro on yourself and Blue Wheel, that would be awesome. A reminder to people as we go through the content today, if you have questions, just drop them in the Q&A and we'll get them answered real time. Okay, Jen, I'll kick it over to you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Aaron. So yeah, Aaron and I have had a couple of these mainly focused on TikTok Shop. So I'm really excited today to talk a little bit more about creator and influencer as a whole. And so that's why today's presentation is going to be about the 2026 Creator and Influencer Playbook, why a trust-driven strategy will lead to brand growth. So quick intro for those of you that don't know Blue Wheel. We are a performance marketing agency managing a multitude of services across social, creative, ads, and commerce, including channels like Amazon and TikTok Shop. And with over $2 billion in revenue managed annually, we've seen firsthand, especially this year, how creator-led commerce is reshaping performance. So we support a wide range of brands here at Blue Wheel across beauty, apparel, CPG, and lifestyle. And what's been consistent across all of them this year is that creator content is outperforming brand content at every stage of the funnel. So a little bit about myself. I spent many years over on the brand side in a sales and a business development capacity before hopping over to the operations side. I was recruited as one of the first 50 hires that launched TikTok Shop here in the US. At TikTok Shop, I was on the team called the TikTok Shop Partnerships team, say that 5 times fast. And our job was to essentially build the ecosystem of agency experts that can help brands scale. So for me, the next logical step after leaving TikTok was to build out social commerce within the agency space, which I started doing at Blue Whale. I've been with the agency for about 14 months now. And now I oversee all of our earned media capabilities. So UGC, traditional influencer, as well as social commerce. So just a quick little agenda and a brief rundown of what we're going to talk about today. So we'll start with the trust shift, why brand-led creative is losing impact and why consumers are increasingly following people and not just brands. Then we'll break down kind of the modern creator ecosystem, so UGC influencers, and then we're calling them commerce creators. And then we'll talk about building loyalty through off-platform communities. We'll touch on how TikTok Shop, Amazon, and Meta work together. And finally, we'll wrap up with my 2026 playbook. So Aaron, a lot to get through. So just, yeah, everyone let me know if there's questions that come up along the way and excited to walk you through this.
Yeah, first question. Is this being recorded? I need to hop off early. Yes. It will be recorded. We can get a recap and we'll also drop it out to YouTube as well. So we will get everybody a copy of the recording. Awesome.
Sweet. Easy question and not for me. Love it.
I know. Let's go.
So let's start with the biggest force shaping 2026, and that's the trust shift. So consumers overwhelmingly trust real people over traditional ads, and it's changing how brands grow. So this slide is all about the major shift that we're seeing. Ads are feeling repetitive and forgettable now. So people do their own research. TikTok especially has changed expectation. Creative burns out fast. Follower count does not mean as much as it used to anymore. And shoppers respond better to real creators and real customers. Authentic everyday content feels more believable than polished brand ads. And paid social performs best when content looks native and creator-led. It's all about constant testing and keeping things fresh. And a steady flow of UGC gives us those hooks, angles, and formats needed to test quickly and find winners. So bottom line here, if brands want to connect today, they need real people telling the real story. So we're building on the same theme here with this slide. So trust is the new currency of marketing, and creators and UGC are driving that. So with the chart on the left, what you're seeing is pretty clear data. The more consumers trust the source, the more likely they are to buy. So low trust content barely moves the needle, where when you move towards high trust content, that's where you can double or even triple your purchase intent.
Are you seeing, a lot of this came from the ratings and reviews piece, right? So it used to be this huge push for ratings and reviews just on, like on an Amazon or a direct to consumer site. This is in that same vein, but it is an actual creator, UGC content talking about it.
Yeah, I
Is
think
that how brands should think about it? Like,
yeah.
I think a lot of brands understand that the ratings and reviews piece, but this is a lot harder to do because I think it has to be fresh,
Yes.
continually refreshed, but it seems like it's the same thing.
It's similar. I think the ratings and the reviews piece are still important and kind of tie into the equation. And the way that I kind of use an example of if you see a really cool piece of content on TikTok and you press click and it takes you to your shopping cart, but you've never heard of the brand before, you're still going to go and you're going to search the brand, whether that be on TikTok or whether you're going to do that via Google or on Amazon. And those reviews are still super important, right? Because they provide legitimacy. So I think the reviews piece is still important. And it's a piece that you should definitely work into your strategy, even with creator content. But yeah, you're right. This is proof right in front of you of how it's kind of that authenticity piece that we're going to talk about consistently through it, right? This feels relatable. They're solving a problem. It's content that you can relate to and understand. And a lot of times it'll answer a question that you have just by watching the piece of content that you would normally have to Google if you're just reading from like a straight PDP.
Yeah, and are we going to get to how brands get this UGC content as well?
You sure are. We're going
All
to
right,
break down
awesome,
all
cool.
three
Well, then
creator
I won't get too far ahead because I have 6 more questions. But let's others, if you have questions along the way, drop in the Q&A and we'll get to those for sure.
Yes, we will definitely get to that. So chart on the right, we'll get to that. It just shows the behavior shift that we're seeing. And people are searching for brands on social before buying because that's where people are talking. And they're more likely to buy when a creator they admire endorses something. So essentially what it showcases is consumers aren't just buying products anymore. They're buying people's experiences with those products. And that's why creator and UGC strategies are so critical today. So what does this mean for brands? It means that creator content is basically the new performance engine. So we'll start with upper funnel. At the top of the funnel, creators are incredible for awareness. They spark interest and build demand the way faster than traditional ads can. And I think that's kind of how we started with influencer marketing and the awareness piece. But now if we move down to mid funnel, that's where UGC does the heavy lifting. So that's where this content educates people, helps them compare options, solves a problem, or makes them feel more relatable or relevant to the brand. And then there's the lower funnel, and that's when it's time to convert. And that's where these commerce focused creators come in. They drive real scale results, especially on platforms like TikTok Shop, where creator content directly triggers purchases within the app. And then post purchase. So after the sale, and we'll talk through this as well, Erin, we'll get there, but why building a long-term creator partnership ecosystem is super important. That's what helps keeps your customers and creators engaged. So those creators reinforce loyalty, recognition, and the kind of repeat content that brings kind of people back in. So in other words, creators aren't just a top of funnel play anymore. They power the entire customer journey, which is definitely way different than it was 5 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, so there's that strategic shift from, hey, I'm trying to get something to go viral. I'm going to go for a single one-time influencer with, 20 million followers,
Yep.
and I want them to promote, right? And I can see that immediate uptick, but then it fades because maybe the next day or the next week, my competition has done the same thing. You see it going away from the huge, broad, I don't know, the Kardashians of the world, we'll
Yeah,
say.
yeah. These like macro, huge, celebrity inspired influencers. Yeah, I think there's different purposes, right? But especially when we're talking about conversion and loyalty and retention, what I've seen from personal experiences is creators that have that 10 to 50,000 follower, they really have the most loyal communities, and they are some of the highest converting creators. So I think that's totally different from the way this was all kind of pictured years ago when it was all about follower growth.
Yeah, really quick questions are on the B2B side. How did this all apply and or differ for a B2B brand?
I think it's applicable for all, honestly. I think the one thing with B2C versus B2B is the awareness piece of what are you doing on other platforms? We'll get to that as well, Aaron, but like, what are you doing on other platforms, right? So what does your Amazon look like? What does your TikTok look like? Because if you are going to go and you're going to type into Google, brand, it's if they don't have a D2C or they have an Amazon, it'll take you there, right? So I think, and I'll talk about this as well, but how you approach your creator strategy, whether it's commerce, influencer, UGC, and how that's all connected, is different for where a brand is in its journey. So the way that we'll approach a brand that's an enterprise brand that already has huge awareness in the US but is looking to convert is going to be different from when we have a brand that's really successful in the US and they're looking to launch here. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, awesome.
Okay, so to win in 2026, brands need all three creator types, but each plays a different yet complementary role. And this is kind of an overview of why this is super important. But the reality is the demand for authentic, high performing content has completely outpaced what brands can actually produce. And this is in big part thanks to the platform TikTok. Social platforms move insanely fast, and brands just can't keep up. And traditional production cycles are just too slow for the pace of TikTok style content. Audiences want real people, not brand polish. But most brands struggle to produce content that feels genuinely authentic and relatable. This, I think, is key. High production shoots are expensive and time consuming. So that makes it nearly impossible to test, learn, and scale the way performance marketing today requires. We talked about this a little bit earlier. Creative fatigue. Creative burns out quickly. And without a constant stream of new angles, hooks, faces, keeping up with the trends, performance drops quickly. And I think this is important of brands of all shapes and sizes. Internally, teams are often siloed and they're working towards different KPIs. So everyone's running kind of like their own separate train. And that makes it hard to reuse content, measure what's working, and optimize across channels. So essentially, the challenge isn't just making content, it's making enough content to have it be authentic and fast enough to actually compete. And I think this is just to give a real life example. When I was at TikTok and we were talking to brands and we were launching TikTok Shop, it was really kind of a thinking point. It still is today on where does this sit? Like people couldn't even figure out how to even launch this or what team it should sit with. So that's why I think now in 2026, I don't have as many of those conversations, but that just goes to show you how much the creator ecosystem has evolved.
But from the agency standpoint, we have another question we'll get to around creative fatigue. But from an agency standpoint, because of that, I get the same thing for brands. They're wondering, what is an org structure? What should it look like? Where should everything sit? In this piece, are you seeing brands turn to you as the agency and say, okay, Blue Wheel, you're setting up the plan for TikTok, for Meta, for Insta, for whatever. You then know the overarching, we're going to tell you the brands, the products that we want to push. But since you know what all the platforms and how to slice and dice it, will you also create the content? Are you getting pushed, or a brand saying, "Hey, no, we're going to hold the content. You just tell us what to deliver."
It depends, right? It depends on the brand and what their goals are. We have brands that are a little bit more hesitant to really lean into authentic creator content. And so with those brands, we would guide them on practice, best practices and AI creative options and things that could help increase their content supply. But we can do all of it. And I think, especially if you're a brand that doesn't know how to really approach this properly and you're not looking to hire a team of 10, I do think partnering with an agency is a good idea. I actually built our UGC offering. It's new to the agency. It was created within the past 6 months because of that request that I kept getting from our Amazon clients that we're working with that wanted to launch on TikTok Talk. So for me, I developed that program that's very customizable and very pretty cookie cutter for a brand. You opt into package A, B, or C because I saw that as a need and a topic of conversation we were consistently having with brand partners of how to increase that content supply because they couldn't just do it in-house with the way that they were either running their infrastructure, the creative shoots, like I said, they're expensive. And so they weren't able to generate the amount of content they needed to fuel the content pipeline based on what they were able to do in-house.
Yeah, awesome. So jumping from that into a couple questions that come in, what do you suggest for creative fatigue, for the creative fatigue issue? A lot of brands blame an agency for creative fatigue. Is it up to the brand or the agency? And others, if you have questions, drop them in the Q&A. We'll get to them real time as we go. So creative fatigue.
I think that's up to the brand in the sense of how you want to approach it. I think it's the job of the agency partner to essentially help you build that content pipeline. I think there are different ways that you can approach it if you're a brand. There's a ton of different tools and platforms out there that you can utilize to help with your UGC. If you don't even want to go to the agency route, there's a ton of like Kale and Skeepers. There's a ton of different avenues that you can take if you're a brand that's looking for a quick fix to increase your content supply. Or you can, of course, partner with an agency that can do that for you. There's also on the AI creative side, like there's a tool within TikTok. There's a suite of AI tools within TikTok. Granted, there are, limitations with signing up for that program within TikTok, but it just goes to show you that there are options everywhere. And I think as AI develops, and especially in 2026, those options are going to increase tenfold.
Awesome. Awesome.
Cool. Okay. So let's talk about influencers as they play a key role in amplification. They already have built-in loyal audiences. So when they talk about a brand, it carries real credibility. And they're amazing for new product launches, great for top of funnel awareness. But I think what's most important is they shine in storytelling campaigns. And that's really, you really need deeper engagement. They're powerful for building momentum and visibility and basically anything that drives awareness and consideration. They plug into cultural moments in a way that traditional ads just can't. And I think this is really key. Their endorsements elevate brand reputation because followers see them as real people making honest recommendations. And they really shape how our brand looks and feels. It's aesthetic, tone, and even the category positioning. So they're not just reach drivers, they're credibility builders and cultural connectors, which is super important. And then it's so this essentially TikTok Shop affiliates, we're calling them commerce creators because I think you're going to see a real increase in the way Amazon approaches creator and creator-led content in 2026. But commerce creators take things a step further. So they don't just influence, they actually drive purchases. Their content is designed to help consumers decide what to buy. They're perfect for affiliate programs or any shoppable experience, product reviews, unboxings, demos. This is where they really shine because they're showing you how something actually works. And they're also incredibly strong in high intent paid ads where the goal is conversion. These creators specialize in guiding purchasing decisions. So they're like the modern version of trusted product experts. And their recommendations feel credible because they usually know how the product works and can explain it clearly. And so they serve as a bridge kind of between UGC and influencer content. They bring authenticity and reach. So you have influencers driving awareness. The commerce creators will help convert and close the deal. And then lastly, there's UGC, which essentially is the foundation of the whole creator ecosystem. It's everyday people sharing their real experiences, and that authenticity is what makes it so powerful. It's perfect for social. It's great for building awareness and credibility because it feels like genuine word of mouth. And it performs extremely well in paid ads because it looks relatable and it blends into all of your feeds. It's also very strong in retargeting, helping push consumers from consideration to conversion. And then post-purchase, it fuels loyalty and advocacy. Customers are kind of showing off what they love. And then it scales as social proof across every stage of the funnel. It helps build community and then kind of turns these customers into promoters of brands. So this is essentially how the creator ecosystem works together. So now that we kind of went through each creator type individually, this shows how it kind of all functions. I like joke in Blue Whale, I call this the triangle of trust. But influencers build the cultural relevance and trust that spark that awareness. UGC drives engagement and advocacy by showing people really using the product. And then the commerce creators close the loop by turning the interest into measurable revenue. And so when they work together, brands can build awareness, engagement, and conversion all at once. So essentially, this is what we call like the modern performance engine.
How are each of these groups compensated then? Are they affiliates? Are they?
Oh, it's really funny. They're all affiliates, and our marketing team and I, when we were just talking, as we were kind of like working through this, there's so many different names. So that's why even we were talking about this is how we're gonna reference it internally. But at the end of the day, they're all affiliates, and I think what's different about how this is all gonna evolve as we go into 2026 is beyond kind of how we were talking about paid versus creative versus social. They were historically working in silos. And as we move into 2026, I think it's really important, like those brands and that don't kind of look at it all as one flywheel and keep treating them separately, you're not going to get the overall result that you want. They're all structured a little bit differently. I think influencers is still there's kind of like a pass through a budget. It's more of a lump sum. Commerce creators, they're moving towards more flat fees. Granted, the flat fees are very different and the content supply is greater just because of the amount of pieces of content that these TikTok Shop affiliates usually create. But they're usually want a piece of the pie. So there's like a revenue percentage attached to a lot of the commerce creator deals that you're making. And then for UGC, it's usually kind of a really kind of low, like flat fee to get a piece of content made. And with our package in particular, just the way I structured it was if you're a brand, you can get 10, 20, or 30 assets per month. So it's pretty turnkey for the brand to sign up for the program.
And then where does the budget come from?
So I think when you create, it's we you and I kind of touched on this yesterday, but I think let's go back to even TikTok and how people were putting TikTok in their marketing strategy for 2025. It was a different time. There was a ban looming. There was a presidential shift. There was so much happening. And I think right now, when you're doing your 2026 marketing plan, I think this needs to kind of be factored and budgeted in there because putting investment into these creators, no matter what platform you're talking about, and having budget set aside for that is going to be crucial for you to generate the results that you're looking for when you're looking at your growth year over year.
Yeah, if I'm a brand, I'm pulling this slide and I'm making sure that I have it available, right? Because as you're going in for budget approval, which usually we've submitted, but it hasn't been approved, or there's questions coming back, that this is the complexity of what we're dealing with. And it's now not a nice to have, right? Now this is table stakes going forward. The shift has happened faster, I think, than anybody had hoped for. I think they were hoping it was going to be a little bit slower, but hey, such is the life of the digital
Yeah,
market.
it's super quick moving, and we'll have conversations too with brands, and we will help them, right? So, what are your goals? Like, tell me what your goals are. Is it awareness? Is it revenue? If you're looking for revenue, what's the number? And then we can kind of help you build an actionable plan on how much you need to put into paid media, where you need to invest by platform. So you can rely on an agency partner to help you. But I think you hit the nail on the head, Aaron. It's if you're not setting aside funds to fuel this, I think that's a miss for 2026.
Yeah, Carol's got a great question here. What's the best practice to find the right influencers, commerce creators, and UGC to work with? Right, because this is awesome. Like, it's a great plan.
Yeah,
Who
it's
are they?
no, it's multifaceted in full transparency. We'll talk about why building a long-term creator partnership program is crucial, but I think the most important part is while you're doing that, you have to continually, just based on the way the platforms are moving and just speed to market and content supply, you always have to test and learn. And I think what's really fun about that is the more pieces of content that you have, the more you can analyze what's working and what's not. And so you can double down on what's working and move away from what's not. And I think one of my favorite things to do when we do our biweekly meetings with our clients is we always do top performing posts of the week. And we always will go back to what the brand thought when they first partnered with us, or like how they thought they were going to generate success on a platform like TikTok. And it always turns it on its head. And so they're always like 6 months into working with a brand, they're still shocked at what is the top performing post on the platform because it's so different from what they initially thought and what they were doing with their own brand handle and the way they were marketing it. So it's really kind of fun. It's Our team motto is iterate and optimize for that very reason. It's moving so quickly, and what works today may not work 2, 3 weeks from now. And I think building the long-term creator partnership ecosystem, you have that relationship directly with the creator where you can kind of train them and educate them on what's working and really use them as your brand ambassador. But there is no formula. There is no formula.
Yeah, I think the step one is just get started and then fine tune it, right? Rinse and repeat, fail fast, whatever it might be, and fine tune it over time. Because there are a lot of brands. It's funny when I'm talking to them and they'll start down a path like this and they think they know their target demographic.
Yes. Yes.
And then something totally, it's a decade older that's if they just shifted it a little bit, they can like double or triple online sales. It's pretty crazy. But it took the testing and learning, the trial and error.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to this for a second because I think everyone thinks of TikTok and Gen Z and super young. But this is Joy. And for one of our global brands within the home and living space, she was our #1 creator for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. She outperformed everyone by leaps and bounds. We partnered with her in real time based on the way she was selling units, and we're able to kind of give her additional kind of coupon codes and really like feed her to keep driving revenue over the weekend. We got the brand to input additional revenue. So needless to say, I think when you talk to a brand and they say, like, what do you think of when you think of TikTok and creator and what's successful? I don't know how many people would be like, yes, this is it. So I think that's really important to show to brands as well, because the platform, although it is a huge opportunity, and with Gen Z and Gen Alpha, it's only going to become more and more important. But I don't want people to think that it's just held to Gen Z.
Awesome. On that, and I want to make sure that we're going to get through everything. Are you seeing commerce creators more specific on channel, like per channel, like a TikTok creator?
Yeah, so for commerce creators, it's funny. TikTok Shop right now is the leader in social commerce. I think what's going to be really interesting in 2026 and something that we're focusing on as an agency, me specifically, is building out the TikTok Shop and Amazon parallels and what that looks like. And I know that for TikTok Shop in general, like they have a huge focus for 2026 for onboarding Amazon brands to the platform. So I think Amazon is going to really step up their creator game, and I think you're going to see synergies for TikTok Shop and Amazon that we haven't seen historically because they've been working pretty siloed. And I think that's going to start to change and blend in 2026.
Awesome. Are you working with these commerce creators directly through the TikTok Shop platform?
So we do, yes, in the sense of for the TikTok Shop affiliate program, like you need to reach out through the seller center and the affiliate center. However, we utilize there are several tools in the market, Yuka, Reacher, that essentially help to really increase the way that you can outreach. They're tools that help you outreach at scale. So we do utilize them. But we always take the approach of a dual prong. So we are consistently using that mass outreach capability to test and learn with new content while we're doing target collaborations, and then we're taking those target collaborations and those that convert. We call it the affiliate funnel, and we move creators down the funnel. So we will test them in an open collaboration. We will move them to a target collaboration if they perform, and then we will turn them into VIP creators and kind of form long-term partnerships with them if they continue to perform.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks everybody for the great questions. Keep dropping the Q&A. We'll get to them. For those of you who joined partway through, the Q&A is open, so just drop questions in there. We'll answer them real time. Alrighty. How are we doing on time and slides, Jana? Good?
We are good. I'm gonna the last part I think I can kind of blow through in the sense of we've touched on it, which is awesome via questions. So thank you everyone. So I think we should be okay.
Awesome.
So now I kind of want to talk about building that community and loyalty through off-platform partnerships. I know we just addressed a question about the TikTok Shop Affiliate Center, so hopefully this will answer why building the creator ecosystem is super important to you outside of platform. So off-platform communities are critical for loyalty and retention. So here we're going to talk about specifically Discord and why it's becoming such a major advantage for brands. So if you're not familiar with Discord, it's a community platform where people can join invite-only servers to chat, share content, get updates, and interact in real time. The way I like to explain it to people is think of it as a modern message board. Looks like Slack. It's got channels. There's group chats. It's visual. And for brands, it becomes kind of a private, always on hub where you can communicate with customers, creators, connect directly with them without the algorithms deciding who sees what. So why does it matter? Well, first, it gives algorithm proof reach. So when you post in the Discord community, everyone's seeing it. No guessing, no boosting, which I think is key. Instantly creates culture. So people bond and share ideas and build momentum around the brand. It's deeply community powered. So creators help each other share feedback, spark new ideas. I like to tell the story of we came back from a weekend and a creator had run into a violation with TikTok Shop, and another creator, before we can even get to try and help them, had helped that creator resolve their violation through TikTok. So it's really nice to see the creators kind of cheer each other on and help boost each other up, and they teach each other. So I think that's really nice to see. I think the best part about these platforms is the brand can kind of serve as a facilitator and let the kind of creators shine and speak to each other. And they really do learn off of each other. So it's really kind of a fun thing to see when you're building it out. And retention is higher because people who join feel like insiders. They're not just followers. They were invited to join. If they're getting consistent communication and challenges and content from the brand, it makes them feel valued. And this, I think, is the best part is it's high engagement, low costs, right? So once your community is active, it essentially runs itself with brand guidance, but without the brand having to control it. So here is what when you start a Discord, here are kind of like the four pillars of high performing Discords and what brands that do this do right. So the first is identity and culture. So the strongest Discords feel like a place. They've got shared values, consistent communication, and they have a vibe that makes people feel like they belong. Content successful servers aren't brand monologues, they're communities. So again, creators and members keep the space alive, and the brand kind of acts as a facilitator. So kind of gives them insights as to new product launches, tips and tricks. We have whoever our POC is on the brand, we have them kind of do videos. So it makes them feel really engaged with the brand on a low lift level. And then lastly, just the structured utility. High performing Discords offer things like product support channels, sneak peeks, gamification, voting, challenges, creator codes. So there's a reason for the creator to want to keep coming back to your Discord. And then the feedback and innovation loop. It becomes a living focus group, and it's a place where you can test ideas, content, offers, and get instant, honest responses that'll help guide your next moves. And I know, Aaron, we kind of touched on this and we chatted briefly yesterday, but I like to tell brands to kind of look at this as if you are a B2B brand and you have a sales force across the US, right? And they're selling to major retailers, they're selling to mom and pop stores. They are your sales force. They are your boots on the ground. This is the same thing for a digital space and for social, right? These creators are your digital army. Like they are your brand ambassadors, they are your sales force. So keeping them incentivized and educated on the brand is key.
A question comes in here. How do we incentivize people to join a Discord community? We have one built, but influencers don't seem to be interested in it.
Yeah, no, it's definitely tough. I think at the end of the day, we've tried a ton of different tactics, but I think essentially it's offering them a reason to, right? So for brands, we'll do challenges, right, where we gamify the experiences for TikTok Shop, but we offer those challenges first, or sometimes we do Discord only challenges to those creators that are in the Discord community. Sometimes we'll do creator coupon codes, but it's only for Discord members and not for any of the affiliates on TikTok Shop. So we think of different ways to keep them engaged, also not to give them, because I am not a believer of the higher the commission, the more competitive you will be. But it's being smart and strategic. When we launched our Discord planning, we built out a 30, 60, 90, 120, and we have a whole strategy on how we can, and we iterate it and we optimize it month over month based on what's going on in the community and on the platform. But I think it's really important to keep the creators engaged. Sometimes too, like we offered five free audits to creators within our agency Discord just to kind of show them that we're really interested in growing them and partnering with them. Doesn't cost any money, doesn't take a lot of time, but it showcases how you want to partner with them and invest in them as a long-term collaborator.
Awesome. We have a couple more questions we want to keep rolling, and we'll hold those to the end.
Totally up to you. I
Yeah,
don't
let's
that far, but you tell me.
yeah, let's well here we'll tackle this one first. Is there a certain demo you'd recommend for Discord? What is their current demo?
So funny, look at the slide I just showed you. I think if you go after a target demographic, you're narrowing your vision and you're not going to see the results that you want. It's the same way that we just talked about brands approaching like a platform like TikTok, thinking that they're going to go after a certain demo and then another demo completely outside of what they thought performs. Think big, start large, and then as people perform, because we also have channels within our community, right? So you can have your Discord community and you can have a VIP channel. You can have a channel that you save certain incentives and coupons and communications or have one-to-one interactions on people you really, really want to grow with. There's a million ways that you can slice it and dice it.
Awesome.
Okay. So if brands want to build creator partnerships that actually scale, it has to be structured. So this kind of breaks down what that looks like. Brands need to consistently show up where creators are, so across platforms, so that these creators know that the brand exists and wants to work with them. Brand recognition is key and awareness. Clarity, when brands clearly communicate their direction, their product story, and what good content looks like, creators produce much stronger work. So just an example of how we approach our all of the creators within our brand, our client discords that we have, because we run discords for each of our brands that we partner with on social commerce. We show them the top performing posts from every single campaign on TikTok. And then we lay out for them what worked and why they were top performing. So it helps educate those in the community to perform and create better content for the next campaign. And that kind of leads into incentives. You have to remember that creators are running businesses too. So competitive commissions and incentives do matter. They drive participation and they keep creators engaged. And then support is huge. So giving creators access to your promo calendars, launch details, any campaign context helps them create content that performs better and also aligns with your brand's goals. And then that's kind of the real magic of how these long-term relationships work. Creators work with a brand consistently, they produce better content, they get more conversions, which means the brands get some more conversions, and then they stick around longer. Okay, so we're going to touch one slide. This could also probably be a separate webinar, Erin, on how creator-led commerce scales across TikTok Shop, Meta, and Amazon. So it essentially shows the infinite loop of how the four major platforms work together to create one unified growth engine. And when brands play to each platform's strengths, results compound. So TikTok is a unique one, but we're going to focus for this example as TikTok is a discovery platform. It's where consumers discover you. It's the first touch point. It's where they learn what the product is, how it works. They emotionally connect via the authentic storytelling. And then you have Instagram, which keeps the product top of mind. Through retargeting, consistent reach, it reinforces demand and keeps people seeing the product again and again. Facebook does something similar, but on a much broader scale, expands reach, reinforces demand, and helps move consumers from curiosity to real consideration. And then Amazon closes the loop, the validation platform, the reviews, the prime delivery, the comparison shopping, the badges, all the signals build instant trust and push someone to buy. And TikTok is a little unique in the sense of it has both, right? Because it is known for the discovery, but it also has this conversion piece that's growing year over year. So bottom line here, TikTok and Meta build discovery and demand while Amazon captures the conversion. And when the platforms work in synergy, it becomes kind of one continuous growth loop.
I mean, so I'm going to bring in Lewis's question here. If you want a budget for creator and UGC, how do you arrive at a number? What are some round numbers for small, medium, large businesses? And I bring that up here because, like we were chatting about, like going into 2025, people were looking at TikTok, but they weren't. I don't think they were budgeting, but just not as big as much as they need to budget now. And clearly it's driving a ton of discovery, conversions happening on Amazon. But now I'm at a point where I have to factor that in to my Meta, my Amazon, budget as well. Like,
Yeah.
are you,
So
how do you
it's a
guys look
lot.
at it? I guess what I'm saying, like a brand comes to you and says, "Hey, we need to do this." You're not just saying, "Oh, let's look at Amazon." You're like, "Let's look at the Meta platforms, look at TikTok, let's look at Amazon and everything else."
100%. 100%. So this kind of goes back to what I was saying about a customized approach and what are the brand's main goals and where are they in their journey of maturity. I think that TikTok, if you're not investing in TikTok in 2026, it's a huge mistake. I think that we also got, in conversations with brands where they're like, I want to do 500K on TikTok shop alone. And then when we kind of walk through what the investment looks like, because TikTok is no longer, you don't go I'm not going to say you don't ever. You rarely go viral without some sort of paid media component, which it wasn't the case on TikTok 1 year ago. It's becoming and it's maturing like every other platform. So I think not putting any sort of spend into TikTok as a platform is a problem. Do I think every brand should dump hundreds of thousands of dollars into launching a TikTok shop right away? I don't. And I think that's why it's really important to kind of lay out what your goals are and see where you are from a platform perspective and then kind of craft your approach. So again, I know it's not the answer that people want to hear. Again, if you want to have a chat with Blue Wheel separately, I'm happy to. But I think it's really at first understanding what your budgets are and what your goals are for the calendar year before you start to kind of plot out what that looks like.
Awesome.
Okay, playbook. We'll go through this pretty quickly because I know that we've spent a lot of time answering a lot of this within the webinar itself. So these are kind of the key steps that every brand should take to win with creators. Step one is start, right? So lead with trust-based content. You can still do your kind of polished branded content, and you should, especially when you want to build your branded content, whether it's on D2C or on your other social kind of like platforms and pages. But you have to lean into that authentic content, that UGC, that creator content. It is key for 2026. Two, kind of what I was just mentioning, you have to match your creator tactic to the brand, to where you are in your brand evolution. So you have to match the goals to the moment of where you are. Are you focused on awareness? Are you focused on conversion? Is customer retention your biggest goal of 2026? Is it new customer acquisition? Because you've got a platform like TikTok that's got 200 million monthly active users. Is that where you put your dollars? Well, but you also have an Amazon store. So is it that you are investing in TikTok from an ads perspective for them to go on and buy off of your Amazon, but not necessarily build out a TikTok shop? There's a million ways that you can slice it and dice it. And it's not a one size fits all. Three, invest in relationships and not one-off posts. I think even for our traditional influencer service offering, I kind of like rebranded and rebuilt that this year. The old way of working with just one-off collaborations, even for influencer marketing, is not where you should be today. Stronger relationships lead to better, more aligned content, whether it's a small TikTok shop affiliate with 3,000 followers or an influencer with 30. Builds momentum across platforms. So don't treat platforms separately. I think one of the biggest things that we talk to our TikTok shop clients about specifically is to, especially when you start off, it's a slog. So look at what's happening on your Amazon store. Look at what's happening on your D2C site. When you're in a campaign on TikTok Shop, how is that affecting your performance across other channels? I think it's really important to kind of look at that rather than look at each of the channels or platforms individually. Lastly, incentivize creators intentionally. So give the right competitive commissions to the right people. Offer kind of coupons, reward the programs and the creators that come out on top, consistently gamify the experience. And it doesn't have to be in a big way. I think people would be surprised at the kind of the excitement at the momentum that we can build off of our creator community with something as simple of here is a challenge or a sprint for 2 weeks leading into BFCM. First place gets $500. Second place gets $300. First place gets, or third place gets $100. Minimum threshold to enter is 10 posts. Like there's so many creative things that you can do. And I think that's what, as a team, keeps us really excited and motivated. Build the structure to scale. I mentioned this earlier. I'm not saying go out and hire a team of 10 or partner with 7 different platforms, but if you can't build the infrastructure in-house, don't be afraid to partner with someone. If you want to attack UGC, but you don't know how, research some of the platforms that are out there and can help you. And then lastly, build for content testing and learning. And I think this is kind of how we live every day, but iterate, optimize the programs, the platforms, the creator ecosystem, the inclusion of AI, like everything is moving super quickly and growth comes from iteration, not a kind of set it and forget it plan. So if I had to give you 4 takeaways that I hope that you get from today, first, it's that trust has shifted from brands to people, and creator-led content is now the top driver of performance because consumers believe real voices more than polished ads. Second would be authenticity matters more than ever. And with AI-generated content everywhere, authenticity is now the differentiator. Real creators have become the proof point consumers rely on. And I think what I want to touch on with AI here is I think AI is only going to amplify and help the way that we can optimize and perfect our creator content in 2026. So there's like 10 different ways that AI is only going to amplify what we can do from a creator planning perspective. Again, Aaron, probably another webinar for 2026. But at the end of the day, AI is not going to replace people. It's not going to replace creator content. It's just not. Takeaway 3 is the ecosystem is greater than the individual tactics. UGC creators, influencers, and commerce creators do not work best in isolation. So the magic happens when they operate as one connected ecosystem across TikTok, Meta, and Amazon. And then lastly, structure wins. A long-term structured creator program consistently outperforms one-off campaigns. And these consistency incentives and iteration are what's going to drive real growth. That's it. We got through
We
it.
made it through. Open Q&A. If you have any questions, drop in the Q&A and we'll get them answered real time. One key takeaway as well, if you have more questions in this space across the board, I'd encourage you to follow up with Jana and the team over at Blue Wheel. They're great friends, partners, supporters of the network, and a ton of brands that are in it as well. They're leading the charge here, and that's why we keep inviting them back for this content as a whole. So I encourage you to do that. On my side, I'd love to have a conversation with you if there's any of these topics that are up here you just want to have a chat on. We want a quick rundown on the newest, generative AI platforms from video to UGC. Well, I guess not technically UGC, which will be soon. Then everything across the board, Amazon strategies. I'd love to have a conversation with you. I don't sell anything here. We run this networking group, but more than happy to give you the rundown and open my network up to you as well. Make as many quick connections as you want. So another question that comes in here is, where does a brand's D2C fit into the sales on Amazon?
So It's interesting. So I'll
It's
talk about
almost a whole webinar in and of itself. Carol,
yeah, I mean,
just
look,
said
I
you.
think from a creator, I think the biggest thing if I'm here talking about creator playbook is I think the biggest thing to watch for Amazon in general right now is just how they are evolving their creator programs and the way that they partner with affiliates and creators in 2026. There's a lot happening behind the scenes with a lot of these technology platforms that we work with regularly, and I think that's the cool thing about how quickly this is all moving is we're working with these platforms and these software tools in real time, kind of giving them advice and insight on what our brands and what our clients want to see and where the holes are and the way kind of that infinite loop is working right now. And I think a lot of what we're seeing is just the kind of data dashboards around D2C, Amazon and TikTok Shop and how all these commerce channels work together. I think it's all going to be a lot more connected as we move through 2026.
Awesome. I think we owe a couple things. We can have a full-blown webinar just on that, but also kind of as you alluded to, Amazon's making a lot of strides in this area. And I think by mid next year, we'll probably have a webinar like this just around Amazon.
We're in build mode now, so it's a huge initiative for us as an agency. We have, we have a huge Amazon division. We've got a ton of clients that we work with on the Amazon side. So I'm really excited to be able. It's a question that we field consistently, and now that we've kind of have all of our ducks in a row with our UGC rebuild complete, social commerce is moving and grooving, and we built UGC. Amazon and Amazon affiliate is the next logical step for 2026. Also live streaming, and I don't mean kind of the way that TikTok initially positioned it of go live all the time and build a studio, but more so how do you partner with Amazon affiliates and going live on platforms like Amazon and TikTok. I think that's going to be another angle that we're really looking into and investing in and making it a part of our strategy in 2026.
Awesome. Couple more questions coming in here. How do you recommend to evaluate and manage a creator's reputation?
So what we do, and I know with TikTok Shop, there are different like filters and things you can click and check. No matter what we're doing from an outreach perspective, we manually approve our creators. So anyone that gets a seeded sample from our clients, is being manually approved by us. So we go to their profile, we look through their content. For us, that's the way that we can ensure to the best of our ability that we don't get a bad actor partnering with one of our brands.
What are your top tactics to discover more on-brand creators?
Yeah, so I think you kind of have to kind of cast the net wide. So you can go with a targeted approach and work with the brand on that, right? We have a creative brief that we utilize. We do targeted outreach, going after the demos that the brands have success with. That said, in addition to that, we lean into the way that TikTok as a platform works. So again, it's all about the multi-pronged approach. And then once you are looking at the content and you start to analyze the content, that's when you can figure out, okay, what is a common thread here? Whose audiences are really engaged and loyal? How do I double down and continue to work with them? But I think with creator in general, it's how do you find the communities and the audiences that are going to help your brand from an awareness and a conversion standpoint? It's finding those audiences. And I think in a platform like TikTok, where you've got 200 million active users, you really have to meet those users where they are.
Awesome. Well, I don't have any more questions in the Q&A here. It looks like we answered them all. We always like to end a few minutes early, so looks like we nailed it today, Jana. Well, thanks to everybody who dialed in. Thanks for the amazing questions. Look for a follow-up email from us. We're going to connect you with the team at Blue Wheel. You're also going to see an email from my team. I'd love to have a conversation with you as well. Pick your brain and make any connections I can throughout my network. But with that, we're going to wrap up this webinar here. Thanks again, Jana. You and the Blue Wheel team. You're awesome. Alrighty, everybody take care, stay safe, look forward to having you at a future event.